name's Simon, and I'm the monitor engineer and also stage manager on this particular tour.
And how do you find combining both of those jobs? Is it quite difficult to do two jobs?
Yeah, it's pretty tough, just because of the hours, really.
Yeah.
And on this tour we don't have a tech to look after the monitor system, so I have to do that myself as well. So I have to set up quite a lot of stuff and keep it working, as well as keep an eye on everyone else's stuff, making sure they don't put things in the wrong place, and you know, generally keeping.
Do you think that's a sign
tidy.
of the times that people have to double up on jobs?
Yeah, especially on smaller tours, because there isn't the money there anymore, I suppose. You know, what with the changing landscape of the music industry and the record sales going down and down and down, you know, live income is becoming more and more important to the artists. So yeah, being squeezed. Yeah.
And you as a monitor engineer, do you generally work as a monitor engineer, or do you swap between monitors in front of house?
I generally, well, in the last few years I've been doing monitors. I mean, I prefer doing monitors maybe, but I'm quite happy doing front of house as well. I like to keep a mixture, but I often end up doing monitors.
Yeah, I always find monitors quite stressful myself because of the, you know, you have to get it right for these people there.
Yeah.
And of course you're the first person that people look at and moan at and stuff afterwards. Is that something that's just, how do you deal with that kind of?
Well, you kind of get used to it, and you get to a point where you just have to make the person on stage feel comfortable and confident, and that's the main thing. And it's often not changing the EQ of the kick drum or something. It might be just saying the right thing at the right time, and you know, I might not have changed anything on the desk, but just explain something in the right way, or just smile at the right time, and just be attentive. And as long as you can do that, then you've got most of it covered. And the technical aspect of it is it's only half of the job, if that. So if you can keep the system all working and make it consistent day to day, despite the changing environment of the room or whatever, as long as you can remain calm and confident and happy, I think that transfers into the confidence of the artist, which is the important thing.
Yeah, because your main job really is to enable people to perform comfortably.
Yeah, very much so.
And I see you've obviously got in-ears around your neck there, and there's wedges on stage. Are you using a combination of ears and wedges for this band? Yeah,
I have side fills, and I have 3 pairs of wedges across the front of the stage, which are just kind of for a bit of feeling. The drummer has a thumper in his stool, and he's also got a sub at the moment because we've had a few issues, so it's just a bit of a backup. But yeah, everybody's on in-ears, and there's a brass section which is on in-ears as well, and radio mics, so they can wander around playing. So it does leave me with quite a lot of quite a lot of channels of RF.
Yes, are they all stereo as well?
Everything apart from the brass, because I've run out of outputs on this particular desk. So I'm using every single output.
Wow.
And a load of the direct outs to drive the effects. So it's pretty full board.
Right. So how do you find working with such a small number of faders with such a large number of outputs?
Well,
would you prefer something bigger, or are you really comfortable on a desk
this is good because I can get to the outputs. The outputs are here the whole time, so I can go to the mix very quickly. And then, you know, just by thinking about it, I have a scene for every song, which brings the relevant channels up to the 8 input faders here. And I have certain changes programmed which happen automatically, so I can keep my head up during songs rather than having to be pressing buttons. So I can just press next and I can still be looking, you know, making myself available. And the benefit of having a small desk like this is it fits in Brixton, where we are now, but it also fits in the Barfly. And you never know what you're going to be faced with a band like this. So it's you know, one minute you can be doing a venue like this, the next minute you can be doing, you know, somewhere a lot smaller, doing a promo show or an in-store or a radio session or anything. So I think keeping a small footprint with a powerful desk is something which is beneficial to everybody.
Yes,
because it gives us consistency. We always use this. This is basically part of the back line. It just, if we're doing a gig, this goes in, our line system goes in, and it's just consistent.
And it just really reduces floor space and I guess trucking space as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is just this rack is just for the brass. This is just the RF for the brass, which we hired in because the band, they don't always play with the band. And then there's an amp rack for the monitors, which we don't often take with us. We often get those locally. So that I am just 2 racks and a desk. So we turn up to festivals and it's all on wheels. It just goes in and out.
Yes.
And it's nice and easy.
And local crew like you because you.
Yeah, I'm always a favourite.
Like, oh, you're done in 1 minute.
Yeah.
And how did you get into being a sound engineer in the first place? And how long have you been doing it?
Well, I started at school, really, like secondary school.
Oh yeah.
Doing doing the assemblies and school plays. My brother's a lighting designer, so we both kind of ran the school technical sort of thing. And then when we both left school, we both started working for sound and light companies. And I did it all through college and university. And then in the end, when I finished uni, I just went straight into touring. So I've been doing it for, I'm 31 now, so like 12 or 13 years working for like professional companies. And then before that I had my own little bits and pieces and I'd do it at school. But, yeah.
And at university, were you actually studying anything to do with sound, or were you studying something completely different?
Well, I was doing software engineering, which is a lot to do with sound nowadays.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Everything's networking and computers.
Yeah.
So like if you don't know a little bit about networking and a little bit about computers, it generally leads for quite a pretty tough life when you're trying to get all this stuff working.
Yes, it's more and more so.
Yeah. And I mean, these amplifiers are all networked and IP addressed and everything. And if you don't know a little bit about it, it can drive you insane.
Yeah.
So if
and it makes you more employable to the guy who knows about that and that.
Yeah. It's just, I think it's one of those things. It's just a sign of the times. Like everything's turning into computers. So
yeah, so you've got to know them.
Yeah, I mean I suppose it was useful in that respect. And also, you get a lot of time off as a student in general. So I got to do quite a lot of shows while I was at uni and work on weekends and evenings and stuff. Yeah. So I still was being employed as a sound engineer all the way through. So it was.
So that's I think for our audience, that's a really, really key thing, is this thing of making sure that you've still got to go out and do the work. You can't just write essays about it. You actually have to go and do it. And the best time to do that is at university, I suppose.
Yeah,
you've got those long holidays.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't, you don't have to get paid for it. You probably won't get paid for it. I've done loads of stuff for free, obviously, over the years, and just to gain the experience and put myself in situations where I was maybe a little bit out of my depth, but in a safe environment where I was only a phone call away from somebody who could come and rescue me. But without doing that to yourself, you don't really know what you know, because it's all well and good knowing how to do it, and this plugs in here and this plugs in there, but when you've got like 3 bands sat in a pub waiting for the PA to be rigged and you just can't get it working, it's like there's nothing like that pressure. And even though there's only going to be like 60 people turning up to watch the show and it's 3 local bands who have got no right to be having a go at you, you feel that pressure of you need to get this right. Doors are at 7 and I just can't get it working, and then you find like one connector and you're like, yes, and then you plug it in and it all works, and the feeling of satisfaction is like, that's kind of what it's all about, really. Like just getting it all done and ready for doors and getting it up, and without experiencing that pressure, it's pretty difficult to do anything, really. I don't think anyone who's John out front or whatever, everyone's been in a scenario when they first started, and even now, where you've got that feeling in the pit of your stomach and you're just like, it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? And you're looking at your watch and time's ticking on, and then you just crack it, and then you're like, yes. And then you've just got this unreasonable sense of satisfaction, and everyone else around you doesn't know that you've just been going through 2 hours of hell, and they're just like, we're getting on then, there's time, and you're like, yeah, it's time, yeah. Like, it happens to everybody, every now and again.
I think that's what's the appeal of working in live things, is that combination of panic and adrenaline. There's just something about that feeling of did it.
Yeah.
That's
and when
amazing.
something, I mean, you do everything you can to make sure nothing goes wrong, but inevitably something will, and it's just about how you deal with it. And you'll generally find that the artist on stage, as long as you deal with it calmly and swiftly, they will accept that things go wrong. And touch wood, it hardly ever does, but when it does, there's not a lot you can do about it.
No, you've just got to fix it.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you said you finished uni and you've been working all the way through uni, and then you just started touring? I mean, that's the thing that everybody has the problem with, is the just starting touring.
Yeah.
How did that first opportunity happen for you?
Well, I was working for like sound companies who would do small tours here and there, like 3 or 4 dates with one band and then 3 or 4 dates with another. And so I'd be like, when I was younger, I'd just be like the third man on the PA, so I'd just do the patch and plug everything in and stuff. And then, you know, you kind of end up mixing the support band and whatever, and then you maybe get to know a couple of bands who are coming through, and they've got a small tour playing like small venues, and they're like, do you want to come along? And you end up doing it for cheap because they can't afford anything, you've not got anything better to do, and it's a good opportunity.
Yeah.
And so you take it, and then, you know, the more and more people you know, the more and more offers you get of work, and then you get to the point where you know a lot of people, and people are always calling you up for.
So that's another really important aspect, I think, sort of career-wise, is to make sure that you are meeting people, and going and working for free is, you know, you're still meeting people more than you are watching telly at home.
Definitely,
so it's definitely, you know, worth that, making that effort just to meet people, if no other reason.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if there's a local venue in the town you're based in, or a small PA company who might have, like, you know, enough equipment to do like an academy sort of tour thing, like in like an 18-tonner, and you know, it's really worth getting in touch with those people, because they're always looking for people to do things, especially over the summer months, because there's a lot of like local council festivals that a lot of smaller companies do, and those gigs are a lot harder work than the bigger gigs.
Yeah.
I mean, there's less pressure because there's less people in the audience, and there's not as much riding on it in terms of money and whatnot. But in terms of physical work, like, you learn way more having to go from like a steel drum youth band who are first on, and then there's like a local punk rock covers band second on, and then there's a brass band who are third on, and it's complete like repatches and like 40 channels and whatever. And you know, doing that, if you can get through a day of that, you can pretty much guarantee that you'll be able to get through a tour like this, where you've just got drums, bass, 2 guitars, and then another drums, bass, 2 guitars, and then another drums, bass, 2 guitars. So it's a lot more challenging working on those.
And usually you're also, the smaller the gig, the fewer people working on it. So you know, there's so many of those gigs where you're on your own, and you're the stage manager and the monitor guy and the front of house guy, and you've got to go and, you know, tell people where the hotel is, and you're sort of a promoter's rep, and you kind of, it's when you get to this stage, at least you can divide up the jobs a bit better. In terms of who does what.
You know, I've been in situations where I've been doing front of house and tour managing, and there's been no backline tech because it's a session band and they're meant to set the gear up themselves, but they're never there. So it's like you end up loading in with like 2 local crew, and then you're like, well, I'm gonna have to like get the combos out of the cases, and then you're like, oh, I've got to set the drums up now because it's running late, and then you're like, well, I've got to line check it all now. So you've got some local guys sat on the drums, and you know, and you end up working all day long, and you know, it's not easy though. It's hard. It is hard work, and you know, very few touring jobs aren't. Like, it's generally pretty hard going, long hours. So.
Yeah, I mean, what sort of time are you going to finish today?
I'll probably finish at about 1:30, and I started at 7:30. So
it's a very, very long day.
Yeah.
I guess that's the name of the game.
Yeah, it is.
And that's why we do it. If you're afraid of a long day, this is not the job for you.
This is not the job, no, not at all. Yeah,
right,
gotta get back to it.
Work.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.